The hidden sin you're normalizing, and God hates it. It all started with a small permission you gave yourself, a little whisper in your mind that said, "This isn't that serious," and before long, what once troubled your conscience no longer bothered you. The very thing you once boldly called sin has now been renamed as a struggle, a phase, or simply part of your life. That is the danger of hidden sin. It slips in quietly, cloaked in excuses and justifications, until your heart grows numb. The world may applaud it, your friends may laugh about it, and even you may convince yourself it's harmless, but God still sees it as an abomination. This is not a message of condemnation, but a wake-up call, because real love does not only comfort, it confronts. And today, God is confronting the compromise that has crept into your life. Revelation 3 verse 16 warns that lukewarm faith makes God want to spit us out, yet countless Christians live half-hearted lives because of hidden sins they've normalized. Gossip, pride, lust, greed, bitterness, jealousy, selfish ambition, these are not always the sins people see on the outside, but the ones buried in the heart, quietly tolerated, and slowly rotting the soul. We excuse them by saying, "That's just who I am," or "at least I'm not as bad as others," but God's standard doesn't work on comparison. James 1 verse 15 says, "When desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death." What begins small never stays small. Sin is a seed that grows into destruction. Satan knows this, which is why he doesn't always attack with obvious temptations. Sometimes he simply whispers, "It's not that bad," until you begin to tolerate what you should have killed. Even worse, culture has normalized sin, redefining rebellion as freedom and calling darkness light. Today, selfishness is dressed up as self-love, lust is marketed as sexual liberation, greed is praised as ambition, gossip is disguised as entertainment, and pride is glorified as confidence. But Isaiah 5 verse 20 says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil." The tragedy is not just that the world redefines sin, it's when Christians begin to agree with them. That is how hidden sin thrives, when we rename it instead of repenting from it. But God's truth does not bend to cultural trends. What he called sin yesterday is still sin today. Jesus warns us in Matthew 5 verses 29 to 30 to cut off anything that causes us to sin, because compromise is deadly. He wasn't exaggerating, he was teaching urgency. You cannot manage sin, you must uproot it before it grows. The longer you hide it, the deeper it grips you, stealing your peace, robbing your joy, and damaging your intimacy with God. And let's be clear, grace is not a license to normalize sin. Romans 6 verses 1 to 2 asks, "Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?" By no means. Grace does not excuse sin, it empowers us to overcome it.